What is up, guys? It's your boy Brandon Groce, self-taught designer, and today we're going to be talking about what is the difference between great designers and good designers. So with that, let's get into it. If you guys are new to this channel, my name is Brandon Groce, self-taught designer, and I work with large brands such as Disney, Dannon, and Huggies. So with that said, this channel is all about being the best designer you can be and getting paid like you should. Now with that said, back into our topic. What is the differentiator between great designers and good designers? Now, as we all know, comparisons are hard because when we try to do comparisons are either made through experiences or through our emotions, our feelings. And we have to remember that most of our decisions are gut decisions. And also we have the dilemma of design that is meant to solve something and design that is meant to just be pretty, just to exist. And this is kind of like the dilemma we have between the head and the heart. You know, and it's between these two fighting forces, the head and the heart, that allows us to differentiate perfect and defective. So with that, let's get more into this. So again, what separates the great designers from the good designers is that the great designers do the small things, they have the details, not meaning complicated, but they take the time pre the design in the thinking phase to have considered work. Meaning that it's simplified. Now that we recognize that what separates great designers from good designers is subtlety, let's talk about the specific characteristics and the specific subtleties that these great designers have. Now in design, we don't ever design anything just because. Design has a purpose. Or we don't design anything because it's required. We design because there's a gap between the needs and the requirements of a space or an industry or a problem that needs to be solved. So with that said, design is shaped by how well these two questions are answered. First off, number one, why are we doing this? And what is the end goal, the purpose of us creating this? What is it going to solve? So those two questions. Let's get into the specific characteristics of a great designer. There's 5 of them. Don't bow down to criticism. Criticism is a great thing and you should be taking criticism with strides. This is what being able to not only just take criticism, but to take that from clients, from other colleagues, from other designers, be able to understand where they're coming from, look at your own work, be able to criticize it just as well, because your work is not you. Your work is an output. You have the ability to look at it objectively as they do to basically make that thing better. You know, criticism is an outward feedback loop that you are also incorporated in. All great designers criticize their work before others do. They're their worst critic. They want to make sure that everything is ironed out before not only other people see it, but they want to do the best for themselves or output the best product. Number 2, ambitious and driven. They compete with themselves and others, or at least I do. That was the ugliest wink. So a lot of people say, like, you know, compete with yourself. I think that's awesome. I compete with I think that's the first. I think that's the foundation. You have to know yourself well enough to know where your strengths and your weaknesses are, so that you can refine your strengths and fortify your weaknesses, meaning find other people that you can add to your team that can, you know, safeguard you in those areas where you are sharpest. Those are the easiest things to refine. That's where your biology has, you know, said to your genetic code, like, this is what you're best prone at. And you're also easily able to acquire skills in those areas as well. Whereas where you're not as good, you can refine those, but they take just as long. Your biology may not be as receptive to adapting in those areas. They are, but it might take more effort, more conscious attention than where you are already sharp naturally. So building off where you're strong. Your beacon should always be yourself, but it's always nice to have, you know, fun and games with other people and just be able to compete with other people. That's where the fun is, or at least to me, that's the game that I like to play. Also, with that said, never play somebody else's game. If somebody else's biology, somebody else's skill set, somebody else's whatever, they're strong in X area, just because they're strong in X area does not mean that you should just be strong in X area to execute on their level. Find what you're really good at in your strengths to get the same result, but through your own methodology. So with that said, that's what I mean by that. 3 is simplicity. Great designers always simplify where needed. Forget the bells and whistles. I hate that shit. Great design is meant to solve problems. So solve the problem in the most efficient manner. So always make it a habit of going back and revisiting the things that you've already created. You know, color, hierarchy of content, element placement, component placement, animation. Can we make the experience simpler? Can we make this design simpler in order to get the actual behavior that the user wants to act on within this application, this app, through this experience? Get them to from A to B in the most efficient way without too many distractions, and just simplify. 4 is more thinking, less designing. What this means, as I said it previously, is that great designers put a lot of work and a lot of effort in their prep work. So they think they've used pen and paper or their swords and shield in order to create and get all their ideas out on the paper. Vet things very quickly in terms of what is right, what is wrong, what is the direction we want to go in. And then from there, once they land on something, they start detailing things out, meaning they've thought more about that idea that they've landed on. And then once all that is figured out in the front end, then they start to build the actual product, etc. Great designers think more. And what I mean by thinking is considering. They consider the direction they want to go down. They're considering the problems that they're trying to solve. They consider the simplification. They go complex and they scale back. They start simply and see what they can get solved through the simple route. So there's a lot of things that they play on in the thinking phase, in the considered work. 5 is just thinking about your user consistently. This is what makes us designers. Without users, we have no product. No product that is made that has, no product is a product without users. Nobody's using it. It's just like trash. You just made something just because. And that's what happens when you make things that are not designed. Created something that does not answer those 2 questions that we had earlier. Why we are creating this, and what exactly does creating this solve? What is the purpose of this thing, or this thing that we're trying to create? So those are the 5 things, guys. Being able to take criticism, take those things and, you know, iterate, make your craft better. Being ambitious, you know, compete with yourself, compete with others if you want to have fun. Remember, competing with others is the fun part. The main thing here is knowing your strengths, growing on your strengths, and finding other people to help structure around the way you operate. Meaning, you know your weaknesses, fortify yourself with the people that you like to work with that are strong in those areas to help you, make you better. And then simplify. 4, think more before designing. Then 5, think of your users all the time. So that's what separates good designers from great designers. The subtlety in those 5 areas. So with that, guys, just want to talk about this. And if you guys like this type of video and my sexy lapels, drop a comment. Let me know what you think about this. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And Brandon Groce, self-taught designer, out.